This is the 57th library that has been built or fully renovated since I took office in 1989. I'm very proud of it. Chicago is a nation's leader when it comes to building and renovating libraries, and we're very, very proud of that. I want to thank Mary Dempsey, the entire board, and the staff and the librarians. We're very, very fortunate to have a really quality men and women work in our library system. And I fully agree with all the money we spent that was necessary in regards to building this great learning environment, a culture of learning in our families, in our communities, in our schools, in the entire city, which is really important. We just don't build libraries to attract national attention. We're building libraries to really strengthen the community and strengthen the idea that education is not just in that school. It belongs in the home. It belongs in the block. It belongs in your places of worship. It belongs in your whole life in a community, in a family, and especially a library. So when I run across people who say, you know, my children can't read, and I ask them a question, have you ever been to a library? Why can't they read? Libraries are open 6 days a week. Tell me, you mean your child can't read? Why is it that, why don't you just bring in the library? You mean you can't read, why can't you come to a library? And just a simple question. And most of them can't answer that. And so America is really struggling with this whole issue of education. Take responsibility. You brought the child into the world. Education is only, the school is only part of it. It's the family environment. It's the community, the places of worship. It's you. You are responsible for your child's education. It isn't someone else's entitled responsible for your education. You have to sacrifice for them. Maybe you have to hire a tutor. Maybe you have to do things. But that's your responsibility. It's not government's responsibility. It's people's responsibility. I believe in that. And the same thing with libraries. And the learning environment just doesn't begin when you graduate from grade school or high school or college. It's your whole life of a learning experience. You should always attend libraries. You always pick up a book. And today, libraries have changed, and Mary has changed the idea of a library. And when you look at this wonderful, wonderful library here in the city of Chicago, and you think about the library is a place of learning, continuing learning. And this is a great 89,000 square foot branch library. It's environmentally friendly, which is really important. Most libraries never had light in it, and when you think of this wonderful library and the design, the architect, it's leadership in energy and environmental design, LEED green building rating system developed by the U.S. Green Building Council, and we build those. 500,000 collection of brand new books, materials, young adults, children's books, reference books, audio books, CDs, DVDs, new audio players, newspapers, magazines, educational, entertainment, media, 20 internet stations, free Wi-Fi, I'll be over here, access to online research databases. When you think, here, it's all here. So don't tell me your child can't learn. Why is it? Here, we have everything here. Why is it? What are you missing? You're missing something. Why is it? And I ask people that continually. And I'm very proud to be a library lover because it's really important for your children and grandchildren and adults to have a wonderful library that creates a culture of learning in our communities. And we're very diverse, so we need that culture of learning, and I'm very proud of that. And to Mary and to the board and to the city council that made this effort. Remember, we're the only city to build new libraries, renovate schools, building additions, building new schools, police, fire stations, all the things that are necessary to move this city forward. And this city is moving forward as a global city. And people ask me why, and the description is that city was founded by immigrants in our past, present, and future. So that's one thing. America is a country of immigrants, regardless. Some people don't realize that we all are immigrants, with the exception of Native Americans. So we always have immigrants coming in, and that's really the thrust. But the other example is the number of young people that are moving to the city, not only in the Midwest, but throughout the country and world, want to come to Chicago. So you have this whole commitment of immigrants. Then you have the whole commitment of younger people moving. moving. And boy, you have a dynamic city. I recently was on West Belmont, and to meet a man about 13 years ago came here from Turkey. And he's in the textile industry. So we built an old factory there for him. He has maybe 100 and some people working. He makes all the drapes and pillowcases all throughout the world. It's amazing. And he has 27 ethnic groups there. He has a great workforce. And then he has a plant in China. I said, well, what's the difference? How well are you doing? He said, we're doing well here, right here in the United States of America, basically in the textile industry. You say, how can that happen? He says, oh, I'll show you. I have a plant in China and a plant here. We are doing very well. I'm very proud of the workforce, productivity, the creativity of the workforce. So that's a positive thing. We have to think of positive things. You know, we get so negative about life. We get so negative about things that life, we have a much better way of life today. And you think about the Depression. You know, when you read about the Depression, you hear about the Depression. Well, that was really tough. The Depression was really tough. No one had any future. It was the dark days of America. And they came through that. They came through that, but very difficult times. And now we're in difficult times. But we have to realize that people have to sacrifice for their children in order to provide a better way of life. And to me, the example is continually about children and where we are with our children and grandchildren and what's going to happen to America. This is a great country. I don't know why we're so negative about everything. Every day, everybody's so negative. I came back from China. Half the population would love to move to America. Right now, they'll come if you give them the opportunity. Everybody wants to come to America. We may think they don't like America, but one thing they want to do, they all want to come here because this is a place of opportunity that no one's ever seen before. And this man from Turkey talked about, just think, Mr. Mayor, myself, my wife, and everything else, look what I've accomplished in less than 14 years. And things like that could never happen in the rest of the world. And so this city is already a great city. It is a city with history, a city with passion, a city with love and families, and people who sacrifice on behalf of their children and grandchildren to make them a better generation. In this century, there would be better generations. And we see that continually, and we see that recently by the men and women who join the armed forces to volunteer and go all over the world. Many of them are killed in the line of duty, many of them are seriously injured, and they come back with great pride that they served the United States of America on the orders of the president. Regardless of what president, they volunteered and did something. These are exceptional and rare people, and we have to remind ourselves that these men and women are there thinking of us and our children and grandchildren, which is really important. As you know, libraries are important, and Mary knows this. The Dunning Branch Library, we opened Austin Irving Branch Library, relocated the Gaywood Montclair Library to Rutherford Sayre Park. We have built schools. We have renovated 5. We've created more campus parks. This is to take all the asphalt and concrete out and make the play lots much more acceptable today. We have basically built more and more playgrounds throughout, ADA accessible, which is really important. Children need accessibility, adults need accessibility, so they feel comfortable and they're not being isolated from a school or from a park or from a playground or basically going down the street. Lighting, improved lighting in many of the ballparks and in many of the parks. We've done that, which is really important. Wilbur Wright College, I mean, that's a great, great addition. It's a great part of this learning process. Higher education is getting costly for parents. You know, you think when you look at higher education, you say, how can I do this? Remember, you pay taxes, community colleges. Your children take courses and get credit and transfer those credits to most of the colleges in America. So whether it's a summer school program or whether it's a half a year, they can build up credits. Then they can get their degree someplace else. But that's important. I mean, you think about that. You'll save an enormous amount of money and you get a good quality education. That's what you have to have. And higher education is becoming out of reach for most American people. And when you look at the cost of college today, and then you find out, here are 3 or 4 children, how can I afford it? If they take out the loans and they have to pay that full amount, how do they pay it back when they graduate and are struggling to even get a job in America? A good job, a good quality job. And so that's why the city colleges, and we're upgrading the city colleges. There's a new program to do standards and accountability and to look at all those who are entering college, dealing with the courses for credit and to make sure they're quality accredited courses. They're not giveaway courses. These are quality courses that can withstand any accountability and review by anyone outside interest in regard to the quality of education they're giving. We're very proud of all the satellite senior centers that we build. Seniors are the backbone of the city, which is really important. Of course, infrastructure, resurfacing, we know that, potholes and major streets, we all have to continue to do that. The weather conditions, and this has been a long winter, I'll tell you that. This has been one of the longest winters, and of course, installation of medians, which are really good because slow down the traffic, and it basically helps the environment in landscaping, holds the storm water, all those things that are necessary. Transit lines is important. We know that because public transportation is an alternative and a good quality for alternative for a good quality environment instead of the car system. And eventually, we're all going to be riding in some form of electric cars. You know that, because the cost of gasoline, the environmental challenges of that it has to be, and it's coming. It has to come as rapidly as possible. And one of the things I look at, when you go to China, they're doing things so fast. We live in a democracy, we understand that, but boy, they build bridges and ports and infrastructure and everything they're building and everything they do, and because they want to put their people to work. And you know, infrastructure is not just a waste of money. It was that true. We would never done anything for the WPA in the Depression. We would never built a school. We never built a library. We never built bridges and roads and things like that. Why did they do it? Was it a waste of money? No. These buildings are still standing today, and that's amazing. And so infrastructure, America has to think. If you can't get your products to and from business, if you can't get workers to and from your businesses without higher cost, then we have huge economic problems in the future. And that's why the development of Eli's Cheesecake created many jobs, retained many jobs. Home Depot, which is really important. Redevelopment of the Brickyard, and Bill Banks knows that more than anyone else. Any type of store, from PetSmart, anything, which really helped us tremendously in regards to this great initiative, Rebuilding Chicago. One thing a city has to do, it has to change. Nothing lives in the past. And people say, oh, those are the best days, the good old days. Now, I grew up from Bridgeport, 2 blocks from the stockyards, and all my buddies' friends, their mothers and fathers worked in the stockyards and worked in the plants. You thought they were good old days, but you reflect and you think about that, they're not the best of days. Remember that. Those are tough times for people. And so like anything else, you have to always look to the future. And that's why Chicago is a great city. It's changing. It's always changing. And those cities that did not change have failed. They have failed because they never changed. But through the foresight of many of the people of Chicago, everyone, they always changed. And that, to me, is the future of the great city of Chicago, is accepting change and willing to accept change, which is very hard. But if we don't, then we will live in the past. And I firmly believe with this dedication, rededicates ourselves to your children and grandchildren or great-grandchildren, that yes, we realize that school, this place, the home, and the places of worship are the keys to the future of any city. Thank you very much. I thank you. I thank you for the great privilege of serving as your mayor for 22 years. I think I pointed this out. This is the greatest job. I don't care what anyone tells me and Mary knows this. I send a lot of blue notes and notes to a lot of my staff, and they always wondered, what is this note about, whether it's a picture or something. The reason why I send them something, an article, a picture of something, for them to think about what they see in that picture. When they read the article and look at something, how does it pertain to their job? Because you don't send a note and say, just do this. They have to really think about these things, which are really important, because you have to live the city. It can't be a job from 9 to 5. It can't be 5 days a week. It has to be your passion. Because if you don't have passion, then it just becomes bureaucracy. And bureaucracy doesn't accomplish much. And you don't feel connected. And that's why I think passion and honesty are the 2 ingredients that public officials have to have. All the other things will come with it. But passion and honesty are the most important aspects of anyone that you elect in public life to represent you. And I'm a public servant. I work for you. I don't work for the Democratic Party. I don't work for the Republican Party. I don't work for a professional organization. I don't work for a union. I work for the taxpayers. Every person that works as employees in local, county, state, and federal government are public servants. They work for you. They don't work for me. They work for you. And that's what's happening to America. The taxpayer is saying, you work for us. You don't work for anyone else. You may negotiate with an association or with your union. I understand that. But you work for me. Yes, it doesn't matter what portion of taxes. You are their employees. And we have to remember that. And that's what's happening in America. America is questioning that. If they work for us, then we have to realize that they have to contribute. They have to do a much better job because the economic crisis, the value of the dollar, and the cost of living. And that's very, very simple. We have wonderful employees. They're great employees. But like anything else, they have to work on behalf of the citizen. And to me, that has been always my belief as a public servant, as your mayor, as your state's attorney, as a state senator, and a member of the Illinois Constitutional Convention. And it's a wonderful profession. But as long as you keep in mind that public service is a great calling. God bless you and thank you.